fundamental or simpler disorders such as sleep apnea or sleep-disordered breathing. Now, interesting enough, 1 in 5 people suffer sleep-disordered breathing. So you can see the enormous market for that.
Around the world, or in particular in America?
As a general rule across the world. And in some regions it's more, some regions it's less. But as a general rule, and most of those people, Peter, are undiagnosed.
Yeah, well, that was the question I'm going to ask you. 1 in 5, possibly people watching this program could have sleep apnea, but how serious is sleep apnea? Is it just snoring, but if it gets very serious, then it becomes a problem? Or even at its lowest level, it should be something that should be checked?
Well, I mean, at its worst case, sleep apnea is a fatal disease because people do die from sleep apnea. The comorbidities associated with sleep apnea include some of the most serious and well-recognised disorders. Congestive heart failure. 50% of people that have congestive heart failure also have sleep-disordered breathing. Diabetes. The majority of people with diabetes have sleep-disordered breathing. And hypertension. A large proportion of hypertension patients also have sleep-disordered breathing. So there's a lot of comorbidities, and it is widely spread. And what's driving our business is that first step in the chain is diagnosis, then comes treatment, which is why, of course, we've developed these treatment devices.
Okay, so the future clearly is positioning the company to expand its market worldwide and be on an international exchange. How has the local market responded to the company? Just talk us through the share price movements, the effect of the GFC and all that sort of stuff.
Look, that's good. You know, to be quite frank, the company hasn't issued a lot of capital. I myself own 63%.
Does it hold back the interest in the company because you have so much share in the company?
Yeah, I think until we do a major transaction on a major global market, when I issue the share, there just won't be the liquidity because it's not worth the trade. For example, I know personally there are either managers or a few local people that are very shrewd that have soaked up the top, say, 30%, 20, 30%. And given that, so that, you know, we have days when we have big announcements when there's zero trade. And I know the guys...
That must be frustrating for you.
Well, it's not really, because in terms of a company like Compumedics, I have to be a realist. And the reality is the major GDPs for medical devices are USA, Japan, upcoming China, Germany. Now, interestingly, we're #1 in many of those countries, in all of them, in our slots, either the fastest growing or in the top 3. So it makes sense that we should consider listing the company and raising the capitals in those countries where we're most recognised.
But why aren't you a takeover target, David, by either rivals or people who can see what you're seeing over there?
Well, Peter, probably like yourself, I probably like what I'm doing.
Yeah, so you would resist a takeover option?
Well, no. I'm a chairman of a public company. And obviously, as part of that role, I do welcome the approach to realise the broader shareholders' values. But I believe that one of our major plays should be an international market, and we'll only receive proper recognition of our value when 2 major things happen. One is a listing on a US stock exchange will value the company more than in Australia. Australia, we're receiving most of the time less than our actual sales per annum. In a US listed stock, our comparative companies, they're 2 to 3 times. Okay, and the second part is the development of our treatment devices, which are our new sleep treatment devices.
Often you find an entrepreneurial company where the founder is still managing director or CEO and chairman. There's pressure for someone else to come in. Have you felt that pressure at any stage along the way and you've resisted it? Or has your board basically said, you are the guy who should be leading the company?
No, I think from day one there's always been pressure to acquire Compumedics shares. And the company, actually, we're not that far off listing on the US. This year I'll be going to America 6 times. And as I say, I'm not going there to make jam sandwiches. That's in the...
That's not your skill set, jam sandwiches.
No, that's right.
Right after writing your story.
That's right. So, I mean, it's time to prepare while the USA market is in a recession for a proper capital transaction on the US market. It's time to also look in China, Hong Kong and Germany. The reason when I say it's time to prepare is we're now 40 million revenue. With expansion of our sales and marketing, we can double that value of sales from 40 million to close on 100 million in 3 to 5 years. on the premise that we're already winning most sales where we're present in the door, so we have to ramp up our sales and marketing. Now, that's the slope, Peter. I believe that I should be issuing my shares, so we raise the capital to keep the company going for the next 10 years, not just the next 10 months.
Is there a model of an Aussie company that has actually done what you want to do, and you're, in a sense, looking at that blueprint and saying, this will be the path I follow, or are you making it up as you go along?
Certainly wouldn't make it up as we go along. No. I think the first thing is the fundamental business mechanics of the world market we all have to follow.
Yeah.
Secondly, most billion-dollar companies in Australia, billion-dollar-plus companies, have followed that path, where they've either second-listed in an international market, or otherwise they've taken a play with a major private equity as a mezzanine investment to get to that second listing. So I don't think this is a new path at all. In fact, I would ask, do we know any multi-billion-dollar companies, Peter, that haven't followed that path?
No, exactly right. So we wish you a lot of luck, mate, and we hope one day you do make an announcement around the listing and the market then does respond.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the program.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Coming up, we